The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and speciality to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 150th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Once again, we'll be here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will explain and talk to us about the latest developments and teachings in the world of plasma. And it's kind of a milestone today at 150. It's nearly 3 years of these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshop programs. And that's many hundreds of hours of the teachings, probably in the range of 500 or 600 hours, I estimate. And so we're happy to once again hear from Mr. Keshe. I think he's available in the background there now. Are you available, Mr. Keshe? Are you there?
Yes. Good morning. Good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers teachings, as we teach each other how it goes. As Rick said, it is a milestone. We started around November 3 years ago, as he wanted to, if I can participate in one of his programs, and then it became 5 or 6 teaching later as part of the knowledge seekers. We have shared a lot of knowledge. We understood a lot. We went through a lot of development, learning, teaching, and in the progress we have reached many, many people. Many people have understood and understanding the new technology, and many people try to grasp what the technology is. In so many ways we have managed to go through different developments. We've matured, and we mature still further in the coming time. There are a lot of progress still to be made. We haven't even, as I say, come off the 4 hands and knees to stand up yet in the space technology, let alone walk in the 1,000 steps up. So many ways we have learned, we have changed, and in so many ways we are teaching and learning new things together. The share of the knowledge will be determined by the use of the knowledge. As we say, usually we share some knowledge. We try to concentrate on deep teaching today. These are some of the teaching which we have shared with some of the innovation centers, with some of the private teachings which I see now is appropriate to be brought forward, and then we ask and see what is there to be shown, what is there to be seen. I hope we should be able to join Jon or Armen in further showing of their flight system, what they've done over the videos which they were trying to show last time. I've received a few emails and communications regarding something I thought a few sessions before, when we spoke with the development of the trials in Tokyo University. The first phase of trials finished last week, as we said, with use of the animals for non-toxicity. The second phase of trial started this last Monday on the cancer cells on 3 tissues of the body of the man and 2 of the mice. I received 2 or 3, maybe more, communications that, can you explain to us why did you refer to the sacrificing the life of the mice in the trials, and you bless their soul? This is a traditional. Those of you who are scientifically educated and understand, and those of you who are ignorant to the knowledge, so enlighten the knowledge, in the world of fire, what we call animal trial, the maturity of the man has reached a point that the way they don't look at the animal as just another being that they have to do the test on. Those who have become mature in the world of science and technology and research, they value the life of a mouse the same as a mother, the same as a father. When a child is in danger, we've seen many times the father sacrifices his life to save the life of the child, even though he loses his. The mother does the same. The scientist who have moral and they've been educated and understand, they look at the life of a mouse the same as the mother. You test it. It's you who give him the injection. It's you, it's a scientist who uses the life for saving the life of the others. So those who have come to understand the truth, they respect the life and they see the same as sacrificing the mother's life for a child. The child, the life of a mouse, the soul of the mouse is the same standard, the same height as a man. So the term is used in scientific research labs. They don't call it they kill it or whatever. They sacrifice it because it has a meaning of respect. Somebody, a mother who gives life to sacrifice his life to save a child. So that's why we bless their soul. They allow us with their life that some of us with understanding more to have a better life, easier life. So if you worked in biological labs, in animal test labs, this is a terminology used with those who have ethics, who have respect for the animal. So it's not in any other way. This is not a sacrilegious slaughtering. This is respect. I sacrifice my life for humanity. And so does a mouse. There is no difference. We all develop each other's knowledge. And so this is why we use this word in our references to research, live research. Going back into any other aspects of the development now in what we call research and development. We have this week we released the results to a number of national governments who were waiting for the what they call toxicity report that is not toxic, that we can go into the next step. There are a couple of Northern European governments who are going to use this as a basis for the next step research. In Ghana we do the same, and in other universities like Tokyo, the next steps for full human trials started. We are waiting for our licenses now that is coming, and hopefully by after the new year, the what we call the licenses for live cancer cell tests will issue in Japan and in other places. It is important to understand we need to be able to explain the technology. We've seen in places like Norway, politicians getting on the bandwagon of the Keshe Foundation. They say they cure this and they do this and that. We totally let them do. It's their job to bring the Keshe Foundation into public domain. They are serving the foundation. We don't claim we cure cancer. We always, even in our contracts, we say it's the processing, it's the body of the man who's got to process the cancer. In so many ways, we welcome the government investigations into every aspect of the Keshe Foundation, because they have to put it down. They test it. We had the same thing in Ghana. A lot of pressure has been put on the Ghanaian with all this what we call internet terrorists and the people paid by the paymasters, and the Ghanaian government just said, you can get lost. We've seen it, we have tested it for a year, we had it here, we've seen people who are totally what we call disabled, now they're walking. We've seen people with diabetic, they are doing it. So we've seen it. This is called what we call negative publicity, and it gives us more strength in the government. That's why they want it to be rapidly developed. We thank the new government of the Ghana who's collaborating with us on the same way in expanding their knowledge and developing the technology. The Keshe Foundation products are in the market from Monday, more or less ready to go in different aspects. Hopefully the factory completes its final phase. And next week we want to start putting materials with the full license from the authorities in Ghana in public. We don't, Keshe Foundation manufacturers do not put anything in the market unless it's licensed. If you are working around Keshe Foundation with manufacturing, have this in mind. From the day you go and open the door, does not work that you sell an item, because you have to get your product licensed by your nation. We've done, we spent time. Now we have the same position with other products like the new power supply. We put it through the licensing and we achieve the delivery, hopefully to go through within the next couple of weeks or so, or this week. We have to receive a license for it. And people who work around it, we supply it across the world. We try to, and we ask all the Keshe Foundation supporters, if you are marketing anything, if you are selling something even to a friend, if you're selling, you set up on the internet, we see many people selling many products of the Keshe Foundation, not as an end product, but as a, like a pen or whatever, please make sure you have a license, you have a certification. We can and we support Keshe Foundation manufacturers which are signed with us, which is now, it's nearly about 8 to 10 of them. We will provide you with the, once you go into the system, if there is a need from the licensing authority as a backup, the EU certification of the material. This is only supplied when the factory is set up and it goes, and the licensing authorities can refer to. If they ask for, then we supply it. So please be on your guard. Do not give so freely in the hand of people who want to speculate, but be correct in doing exactly what we did. You saw it with a pen. We waited nearly 3 months, 4 months. We invested money in the pen, we made it, and we waited for certification. We did the same thing with the pad. We did the same thing with the Magrav system. Now we are doing the same thing process with a new generator which is coming out. We need to have certification on it that you are safe. They've done that, trying to create mayhem. And in fact, many people have produced it for themselves in their houses and they're benefiting by it. We sold thousands of the Magrav units. And we have seen people who are opposed to it, and now they see their bills, they're ashamed even come to talk about it. You got to understand, this is normal with any new technology. We are front runners for this technology. So we have to understand it. We have to welcome politicians to understand our technology. We've seen in Norway a lot of things going on around, which is a false information across by the, what I call a bunch of people who try to abuse it. But in a way, it's a breakthrough for us. When the government, when the ministers take up and they accuse, then they have to prove. Welcome them in, invite them to test everything on the Keshe Foundation. You make an accusation, we welcome you to prove it because we have the proof. Especially those of you who work in Norway, approach your government, your ministers, and provide them with the system. So this system is the processing system. It's not a cure, it's not a medicine, it's not an alternative, it's a new technology. We provide you the pens, the pads, we provide you the liquid. It's for you to confirm us we are wrong. We have enough proof. The thing is, like when in Norway you have a minister who's going against you, deliver them the C certification of the pen and the pad and tell them this is a continuation. It's for you, we have a certification to prove we are wrong. Use the opposition from internal governments, which is fanned by those who are after fame, opposition, to the advantage of delivering the technology, and be very public with it. When you give the pen to the government, to the minister, the pad, take a picture of it, invite the press. You're accusing of us, telling we cure this and that. We don't cure, we process. These are our tools. It's for you to confirm we are wrong. We have a seal certificate for it. Never run away from the government. Your best friends are governments, because once they see it, they work with it. You've seen us how we work with the civil defense and the Italian government. The Italian opposition, which was set up deliberately, just disappeared. Because you cannot say to a man who's in an earthquake zone and you use the pad without no pain, and the government asks you, say it's wrong. They just laugh at you. So use all the government support, all the press support, that you release it to the press. We give it to you. This is the pen, this is the pad, this is the combination of the pad in liquid state. You prove us that what we have as a license document, especially in Europe, it works. Those of you who are in Norway, you have been given the best opportunity by the government. The ministers got involved. Bring her in, deliver the equipment to them, all the ministers. EU has at the moment a policy about Keshe Foundation. This was made a couple of years ago through the request of British government health authorities through EU. What are we going to do with Keshe Foundation health system? And it's been left on the table. Let's see what it brings. We cannot block it. They've been through. If you do any health application as processing, there is a contract with the Keshe Foundation. You get your client as a doctor or whatever to sign that. This was done with a lot of detailed work by Dirk Laureyssens. He worked very hard and he went through every aspect that there is no way they can break the code and say we are illegal. He took it across. The Belgian authorities went through it with a fine tooth. The Belgian insurance companies went through it. They said this contract is so solid. So our health application came on the back of very hard work by Dirk Laureyssens writing this contract. We give it to everyone the same. It's a processing, we are not a healer. We don't heal, it's a natural process that it goes through the body. And he modified it many times to make it perfect, because every time there was a loophole, he found a way to write it. So he's got a good, what you call it, understanding of this, and it has proven. Belgian authorities took it to pieces, they took it to the court, they took it everywhere to test it, and they couldn't break it. EU did the same. Because in this agreement, which is known as the health agreement, is the patient who asks for a system to be made and share the knowledge. In a way, it's the same process as the mouse, which we said for sacrificing, because then knowledge can be used. People donate their life in this agreement to the humanity, that the knowledge can be shared. And this is important. Dirk Laureyssens spent a lot of time writing this down. Initially it came from IMEC. They gave us a base, and then Dirk Laureyssens developed it in a full, and it's been tested. That's why when it was taken to the insurance company in Belgium to underwrite it for the naturopathic organization as an alternative process, or what you call of changing illnesses, the insurance company went through it. They went to 2, 3, they found the insurance company who wrote it as the underwriting of the application of the technology, where I can sell and teach other doctors how to use the system. So we have a certification for it from Naturopathica in Belgium, and is underwritten for those who can use it as doctors, and they've been made systems for. So places where there are manufacturing systems in Europe, you're under the cover of them, because once it's applied in one European nation, it goes with the other. You've got to understand there is a lot of work done in the background, in the strength of it. A lot of work has been done by all of you to give the strength. Do not get intimidated by people trying to intimidate you. Welcome any accusation to the governments and deliver. The first thing is, especially in Europe, the pain pen and the pain pad. I say, this is a certification, you prove it's wrong, we supply. They come to us because we have to supply it. We have all the certification for it. This is the way to go. Now the governments have become alert. Don't see them as enemy. They are the best friends you could have. You've seen the collaboration between Keshe Foundation and the Italian government and officials. You will hear a lot more what's going on in Italy. In Italy, there's a huge problem with contamination, which the Keshe Foundation has completed it. And now we've become, in a coming time, you will see, as part of the organization of decontamination. I thank Paolo, I thank Giovanni being in the background supporting this too. Our decontamination team is every day, more or less on a daily basis, in meetings with different officials and government officials, because they could not believe such a simple system could help saving thousands of jobs. It's very critical, it's very crucial, this testing. And they have tested it in the labs and they've seen it, they have the data, and national government, national international organizations are coming to Keshe Foundation in Italy with the support of the team we set up there for decontamination. We keep this company very much on the wrap, because its job is not to report to public, but to report to governments only. It is one of our internal government systems that are working inside it. Don't be afraid. The governments come in because they don't know, because they give them wrong information. Use it, because they have opened the door for you. It's for you to go in and deliver. Make an appointment with the Minister of Health and say, this is it. If there's a miscommunication, this representation by press because they make it hot. But this is the reality. We want to deliver. We want to give you the pen. We give you the pad. You test it. You got a pain. You got a house. You got somebody back pain. Test it. And then this is the liquid pad, because the liquid pad and the magnetic pad is the same principle. So you can use the liquid patch because it goes on the same licensing. And because it's the same principle. And then let them test. Let them bring it through, because they cannot deny it. We are in the same position now with TEPCO. TEPCO is in a very delicate position with us. We keep quiet. They wanted us to keep quiet, but we don't keep quiet. We are in the more or less past 3 weeks under direct contact with TEPCO to sort out the Fukushima result. They are very angry. They are very aggressive. Why did the information go public? It was supposed to stay hidden. But we don't do that, because another reactor in Japan, another reactor in the United States, another reactor in Europe is life of all of us. Doesn't belong to one company. It doesn't belong to one organization. So this is to change the mindset of TEPCO. TEPCO has been using it, and for the first time we have received emails from them. They actually confirm testing and doing everything, because up to now they couldn't do because of the sanctions. They were sanction busting, and it's heavy, heavy fine for TEPCO. During the heavy sanctions on Iran, I'm a senior Iranian nuclear physicist, they used the Iranian technology to solve the problem in TEPCO. It was one thing, they would have rejected it. It's a 2-year cooperation. If it was bad, you leave it, you don't cooperate more and more to find more problems to solve it. So now we are in the sanction busting with TEPCO. How do we solve it? How did IEA allow TEPCO to use it? Now we have it in writing. TEPCO has, but whatever have written it, and they've committed to using the technology. This was heavy for the management of TEPCO, how this came out. One of the senior officers released this email that they've been using, they've been approaching, but they're angry about what happened is going public. It was not supposed to. Why shouldn't we? They have to learn to be open. So in a way now we can make a move on TEPCO very directly. Now they have used during the heavy sanctions of Iran and Iranian nuclear technology to help their people. But it has to be that way. Now this allows us, with what we have in Japan with research and in a court in Japan, to force TEPCO to open their hand. And then it goes back to IEA and international penalties which will go on TEPCO. Estimated between 10 to 20 billion is got to be paid to IEA or to United Nations as penalty. They have broken the sanctions heavily. It's not in our hand. Now we got what we were looking for. Up to now there was all denial. Now it's in writing. But we don't go that way. We're still offering collaboration to TEPCO for other nuclear reactors. We are not after penalties. It's nothing to do with us. We are there. But in what had to be correct, they made the biggest mistakes confirming that they've been testing and they've been using it. It's signed by one of the heads. So it cannot be by the senior or by mistake, because they go in detail how they've been using it. In due course, as usual, we release TEPCO's emails and then the communication, the shipping documents. But this allows us now to go to the step where we negotiate directly with the government. And we allow government to do the test. It got to be the same with Norway, it got to be the same with other countries. Keshe Foundation technology, the way you have developed it, cannot be denied. It's too effective, it's too good. We need more education. We need to be educated how to use it more. We need to understand more how to apply it, that it helps everybody else. Let these people who call you, threaten you, or call the embassies and governments, show you one thing. Show us a government who's taken action against Keshe Foundation. There is only one rogue nation and one officer in Belgium, and he knows they listen because the German report to him, they're monitoring the whole thing, because this German group and the police in Belgium are all connected to the pedophile gang, which is connected to Allen and to others. These are under watch of the international, and what we call it, international police, and just give away from it. We don't talk about it because we done our job. But it's your job to dissipate the knowledge, transfer it to the other people, let them test it. Those who have made the system have worked with it, they've seen it, they've used it, they work with it, they can appreciate it and they can teach it. Going back to the other aspects of the technology, in our teaching in the past few years, we have taught, we have tested a lot of things on the what you call understanding that a lot of people know, or to do it now and then we teach it in more depth. We're coming to those points now that we taught all the basics. Now we have to teach it more in depth, more in understanding deeper phenomena of the plasma's work, that how it works in the body, how it works in the space. I try to do that today, and then next week we go in further detail. We still teach during the Christmas and New Year. I would like to congratulate today the knowledge seekers who finished their one-year course this week. They finish tomorrow, and on the 15th of January or 6th of January, the institute opens again with more students. What we are doing, we are not finishing with our students. Our students carry on being students, but they gather more and more knowledge. We have passed several hundreds of students, and international we passed thousands. Now with 12 languages teaching, with the classes and everything else, we do more and more in that respect. Now with the seats at the University of Ghana, with the masters and upcoming PhDs which we have allocated for research we want to know, we will go further. We are now, as we said, appointed, first PhD has been agreed, the parameters of the PhD is finalized yesterday, the day before, that we start using the plasma technology with the old nuclear, what we call nuclear industry, to solve part of the problems of the nuclear. We work closely with nuclear scientists at Ghana Atomic and IEA, because we see as amalgamation of the atomic and the next step, nuclear and into plasma, can be brought together to benefit all three. And I thank the authorities at all levels in Keshe Foundation Ghana. Keshe Foundation Ghana, when we talk about it, includes the government officials which they sit on our board, because they are the shareholders and we work as one team. These things will change a lot for all of us. Before we forget, as you remember last week, John did a lot of work trying to get and show us the whole structure of his work and the plasma technology. There is something which I have to mention. This is good for those of you who are public in the way working and trying to get to the teaching. In the next day or two, maybe even today, the webmasters of the Keshe Foundation, now we have 3 webmasters who sit at the team in the background, because we are developing, and we have other webmasters who work through with them. They will put up a link on the Keshe Foundation website, which will cover all the teachings. All the knowledge seekers, all the teaching now has been compiled by Rick Crammond. Thank you very much, Rick, for what you've done. And what this is that now you can, with one link, go to all the teachings. The health aspects, the agriculture with Chinese, the 150 knowledge seekers. Now you can actually go and pick up every one you want to see, or whatever you want to gain knowledge from it. This is a lot of work done by Rick to put this together. At the moment, next few days, the webmasters will link it up into what you call the website, that accessing these, we hold these on different websites, different servers. Now the foundation carries over double digits server facilities to cover our processes. You got to understand, there is a huge operation goes in the background to keep everything in line. And we have a good team with us. I thank all the webmaster team, the three of them, who sit in the background and literally monitor and work on the thing as one team. I want to know, is John online that we can use if he's got any more videos to share, or Armen regarding the test flights? Do you see them?
I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
John, do you have anything to share with us on your further development? Did you find those videos which we were looking for last week?
I can pull those up, but you know, those are a little bit on the early stages of production. I mean, early.
Doesn't matter. It's okay, because we have to see. Nobody has seen this. It's the first time. Your center and our center here in Ghana is the only two places we can do these things. And anything can teach somebody. To us might not have much understanding, but to them could be a point of understanding more.
The other thing that I have would be the new testing that I'm doing on the new configuration. I've put together a couple of videos that I put together this week. Would you like to see them?
Okay, go ahead, please. Is Armen in the background, or is he asleep?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Armen John. Armen, have you found those two tapes, those that they can be shown?
No, I can't find it.
Okay, I have the links on my links. I'll bring it out. I'll dig it out next week. Be sure. Okay, John, would you like to share with us?
Okay, we're here and there. Hang on a second. Let me kind of get a setup here in the background, okay?
Okay, while you're doing it, let me add to something come new. This week or so, you start seeing new products. These are the test products people can buy. These are the things which is coming from what we call the workshop teachings. Farhat was responsible for it. They are developing new ways to get more familiar with new gadgets in a way, new Magrav systems, star formation, new way to show the plasma, taking it to what we call the what do you call it, genic job of rubbing the box to get the knowledge. It's the way we breaking into the system. I ask a lot of you who are producing things on the fringes of the Keshe Foundation. You have a little website, you might produce something and you might sell a few pieces. You're happy, it's good for us because that's how the knowledge is spread. Bring those into the Keshe Foundation website shop, that it gives you a living that you can work with. We encourage you, those of you who start making t-shirts and selling 1 or 2 t-shirts here and there, we try to do it. If you succeeded with it, bring it as part of the Keshe Foundation website. We put it out, it goes to you, and you can do it, because I've seen even Rick Crammond wearing a new t-shirt, and there's a lot of time. We tried it, we can't do everything. And so, if you're producing something and you want to market it, even it's already on the website of the Keshe Foundation, we can't do everything in one place. A lot of you selling 1 piece here, 2 pieces there of little things. If it's nothing which needs licensing, send it to us. Send it to the what they call Keshe Foundation support at keshefoundation.org or kfsi.org. We promote it for you. We put it in the shop, and then you get benefit by it. And then it brings security to you who've been around the foundation and worked a lot of things. Don't look that there is already another one. There's no problem. It could be 10 of the same, but the guy likes the way you do. Is from the same area, the same country. He can come and see you. He can work with you. This is important. You made little coils. You made different combination of coils, and you want to put the value of this what you want. Send it to us. We promote it for you. Just write what it is exactly. Send it to support. It becomes a product, and we have to make sure you can make it, and we allow you to start building industry. And then when you become strong enough, you can go become part of the Keshe Foundation manufacturing, that we can support you. This way, everything is correct. Yes.
I just want to clarify. Just it's better to send it to Webmaster, and then we can forward it to the correct department.
No problem. So we encourage you to start marketing, and we support you. Your website can be found maybe by a few hundred people. Keshe Foundation website traffic is in hundreds of thousands. And this gives you at least a lot of people who don't have a job and are making these things one at a time in the house or something, a coil, a combination, a decoration type of Magrav system or whatever. We support you. As long as it's not promoted for work or something, we allow you to come in. And if it is for work, we can test it. We can get it certified for you. We look at everything. This technology belongs to you and it has to become part of the mainstream. I see a lot of people use the logo of the Keshe Foundation. We have a copyright. We have a full license copyright on the Keshe Foundation SSI logo. We can shut anybody down in 1 second because we can provide you to the server masters. But we don't do. We allow you, but use it correctly. Use it. I own, it's been done by what you see as a KFSSI, was registered as a copyright, registered logo by Renan in Philippines, and all rights has been transferred to Keshe Foundation. We allow you to use it, but don't abuse it. We shut you down. We are monitoring. We have a couple of people in the background who continuously monitor everything around the foundation. We allow you to go because we are one family, but we don't allow the abuse. This is your right to be able to, but as we give you the logo to use, we give you, as long as you don't abuse it, we give you the freedom of the website. This Keshe Foundation doesn't belong, it belongs to all of us. Bring it in, we can expand it. It's like the Wikipedia, with the Keshe Wiki, which is created, is part of the knowledge, spreading the knowledge. The more opposition you get, the stronger you become, because more people look and they laugh at those who oppose. There are a few people who use the Keshe Foundation to confirm their existence. We have to let them. Judas exists amongst the 12, sitting with Christ. So it has to be that way. Use them to bring the knowledge out. You developed something, you're hoping, you're a housewife, you can make a few pens. If the pens are near enough what we produce, we have a license on, we can license it. It goes under our license because there's not much deviation. You may alter something on it because our certification covers that spectrum. So we can give you protection. We can give you a cover that we sell it through Keshe Foundation in Europe. Or we can help you to get certification and make an industry out of it. Make a living for your life, for your family. This is your right. This is knowledge belongs. It's not, doesn't belong to computer to one organization. Are you there, John? Have you managed to get it done?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead, please.
I noticed last time when I shared the volume of the video didn't come out great. So maybe Flint, you can kind of walk me through that so that we do it correctly.
Yep. So when you hit share screen button, it pops up a window. You want to select green, highlight green, the window that you want to share. And then you have to select the check marks at the bottom for share computer sound. And optimize full screen. Okay, so I got it. So can I go back from the share screen? Yeah, just hit new share now. Okay, so yeah, sure. Check that box. Share computer sound. Okay, I got it. And then share full screen there at the bottom too. Okay, now this sound maybe come out a little bit better. I apologize. Last week I was. No problem. Okay, so can everybody see the video before I start it? Does it come up? Yes, we do see. Okay, so let's try it, and if the sound's no good, just tell me. But there's not a lot of sound in this one anyway, so shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and play it.
And what we've done with the 12 outside and 6 inside is we added these two additional Magrav units, and we connected them to the magnetical side. And on these two Magravs over here, we connected gravitational to gravitational, and we connected it to the gravitational side. So on these Magravs, we're pulling only magnetic fields, and on these Magravs, we're pulling only gravitational fields. So we measured them out. We're still at about the 12-foot mark all the way around, based on these little things. We've got all of our Magravs secured. We Velcroed them down to the platform. And what happens with the fields is we find that as we measure it, it goes out and then up and then in, and then in the center, it raises very high rather than turning back down. So that's where we're at right now. We have a radio going to measure the fields outside the 12-foot mark. Thank you. Okay, we're here and there.
So we were a little bit surprised to see on this one how the fields went up so high in the middle. When we added these two, it's like the field, rather than turning back down, it just kind of peaked up in the middle, and we were at about 12 feet high in the middle. So let me pull up this other one. Just bear with me 1 second while I get one more video. Okay, here we go. Do you see that now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, this is Paul, and he's going to explain what he's putting together for us. We're a little farther along than when this particular video was written, but let's...
Our new configuration, and inside we got 6 coils, and I connect magnetical to magnetical to magnetical, all magnetical connect, and upper gravitational all connect. And outside we have 12 Kaoni Magrav, and we connect magnetical to the magnetical to the magnetical to the magnetical.
Okay, we don't have to go all the way around. We got it.
And gravitational all connect together.
And then we're going to put a power supply on each of those and amplify the fields, each of them individually. Now, our intent is also to put a sun in the middle of each one of them, and we're going to coat the coils themselves with alkaline in the middle of so this gravitational will be alkaline field, and this magnetic will be acidic field, and of course our ball will be alkaline also in the middle, and then on the outside we'll do opposite. Okay, that's what we're planning on doing. We're starting to nano coat today.
So our thinking with this is that by controlling both the magnetic and gravitational, we'll be able to influence one or the other with power supplies. We're gonna stay with all DC voltage, so we should be able to amplify one over the other. So that's what we're doing right now.
Can I add to the knowledge just before you go further, please, John? Then we do it case by case. In respect to the first one we saw with the stackers, this is a combination of different magnetic fields. As John said last time, there is no capacitors in those units. And then, as you understood, and we all done before, we connect the gravitation of the bottom stacker to the middle tray magnetical, and then from magnetical of one we go to the gravitational of the other one and the magnetical. So we this is, if you look at the, what I call the principal base, which we show with the Marcos system with the balls, that was one of the sets of connections could be done, that all the Magravs, magnetic connected to gravitational of the other. This is one part of system control. Now, what you've seen just now with John is what is another part. This is what I asked John to do it this way, because you don't need to have a stacker. A lot of you made coils. Now it allows a lot of people to start testing. This is needed in the operation of the system, what you see on the table, that we can expand only the magnetical field of the spaceship, or we can strengthen it, or at the same time we allow the gravitational center to be strengthened for the directional pull. In the coming time, these are very much like when we start walking. We just fall and we use one arm and before another arm. This is as part of the process. Don't look at it as something else. We've done the structure, we've seen the fields. Now, if we change the connection, now as we go dynamic, we have an operation that we can change the use or coils or direction of coils, or use only 3 coils in magnetic mode and 2 coils in front of it as a gravitational that we can dip in or rise up in a given direction. So you got to understand, it's not something different. Now what John and our team in Arizona show, this is what I explained to them, that this is the next step. This is another practice. This is to show how we can increase the gravitational field and what happens, or we can increase the magnetical of the shielding. And then if they, in the test you will see that when they increase the magnetical, how far it will go and how much they can strengthen it. Now it's only magnetical or only gravitational, or there is a very big deep understanding with this, that you got to go back into can I share this, and then we go deeper in this understanding. And that is, you have your gravitational ring and you have your magnetical ring. A lot of you have connections in different way to it. Please understand, this is important. The strength between the two is your voltage, or your potential difference as we call it. The strength between the two. This is like a, if you look at it, a dam. Energy falls in. So the height of the dam gives you the amount of energy you can get from your turbine when the water falls. That's the potential difference, or we call kinetic in matter state. In that has a ratio by drop. In plasma technology, this has order of magnitude increase, or what we call, let's call it A, which is the order of magnitude. In the matter state is multiplication by order increase. It's a big difference, I explained. If you had 2 in 1, 2 by 2 is 4. And then if you increase the height more by 2 is 8. If you do the same, if you drop it by order of 3 is 9. But now with order of magnitude you go totally different. Here you go 1 or 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Here order of magnitude, you see what happened. When you go 4, let's say 5 times 2, depending on the height, is 10 times more. When you go by order of magnitude, you see 2 to the power of 5 is 64. 64 times more stronger, where here is 10. This is very, very important. This, if you understand it, plays a huge game in coils, in the what we call this potential plasma plus potential difference. So what it means in the coils, for every turn you go up, not 1 plus 1 plus 1, you go by order of magnitude by 10. Then you go 10 to the power of 1, then you go 10 to the power of 2, and the rest of it. And you see how it changes. In plasmatic field, you go by the order of magnitude. In matter state, you go multiplication of it. 1 plus 2 plus 3, and you go on. And this is one part of the story. The other part of the story, which is the current flow. The strength difference and the flow difference will give you the power of your system. What is the strength difference and how much of that the strength travels across at what rate will give you the power of your system. That's why now Jon is adding a power supply to each section that they can start controlling. This is the order of magnitude, which is the beauty of it. You see this in your own human body. There's, I said, many teachings. You have 1 equal to amount of 1 nail in your body, iron, if you put in matter state. But how come it covers every single blood in your cell in your body? And it has a huge volume, because now in the human body, when it becomes in GANS state, it becomes order of magnitude in size, not the atomic structure of the nail. These are the explanation, these are the understanding we have to understand more. Today, I refer to a part which I think it'll be fantastic for a lot of people who understand it. We explained it in one of the medical teaching recently, and it has to be expanded to be brought in public. Carry on, Jon, please.
I think I found the old video here.
Okay. I have to stop sharing. Wait, Jon, please wait. I have to stop sharing that we can see your beautiful work. Carry on.
Let me, wait a minute, I forgot to check that box again. Okay. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so this was an earlier test where we only have 2 of the high voltage transformers, and what we're going to show is how the fields at this point in time, how we're able to have them come back in kind of a toroidal shape when we measured them. So let's go ahead and watch it real quick.
Here in Arizona, we got the double transformers hooked in parallel, and now we're going to add in the violet ray into the system for additional fields. Right now we're about 12 feet out.
Can you, that's right there.
So, Julian, just kind of hold it right there and just see if when we turn it on, if we start getting farther back fields, okay? Go slow, David.
So we were before the violet ray, we were at 12 feet. Now we're going to amplify them even farther.
Whoa, even the violet ray seems to be stronger. Whoa, I can feel the energy field right here where I'm at. The hair on my leg is standing up. How about you over there? Julian, nothing.
Up.
What are you getting, Julian? No signal? Or it's getting high? But not a lot farther back, huh? High, but not farther back.
So here we're on the magnetical field, is what we're amplifying.
standing close here to the fields. I can feel them. I'm about 6 feet away, and I can feel I'm standing right in the middle of the field.
That was something else that was very interesting. Being in the area of the bubble, you could.
So we're getting a signal which is about 12 feet out, and it's going very high. It's going halfway to the ceiling, at least. But it seems like it's going like in a toroid, and it has a definite end of the field. I'm inside the field. Yeah. Can you feel yourself right on the edge of the field? Can you feel emotionally you're right on the edge? Can you feel it? In, out? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here it looks like when we're measuring the fields coming off of the thing, it's like, do it again one more time, David, so you can see it, right? Okay, so it's on the ground, and then about an inch up, it stops, and then comes out and up. Do it again one more time real slowly, David. It blinks, it stops, and then it goes again, and then kind of comes out. Yeah, it comes out and up. Out and up. Probably not so much out, but up. Like a bubble coming around.
And it turns.
Then it turns and starts to turn.
Like that.
So, yeah, it's starting to come back around.
It's like I'm making a toroid.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going.
So when we start to get our field into the field, it has an impact. So it's kind of hard to measure in the center, but that's kind of what we saw back then. Now we're starting to find a little more definition. When we let the system run, it seems like the fields kind of get more definition. When we just started up, the definition is kind of, let's just say it's a little more erratic.
Can I come in, please, John? Just make an explanation. As you see now, for the first time, you see the magnetic field shape of a spaceship. You see it just curves up and it goes up. So what has happened is that the base John has chosen is the base of the spaceship. That's the bottom. It comes flat at the bottom there. And then you see it as we saw with our colleague there. He puts it, he takes a side shape and it goes, curves up and it comes back in. This is what I was trying to explain before. It's the first time we see the structure of magnetic field in the shape of the spaceship. Now that John showed the other video with the rings on the floor without the Magravs, but the Magrav rings what we call as a set, but not as a stacker. Now, when they connect it and they add it, then they can put this on top of the old or the first system which they just shown. Then they can strengthen just only gravitational or magnetical. Now we have the definition of the structure. For the first time, we have shown a spaceship in field. And you've seen John very correctly asks, can you feel anything? And he says, yes, I can feel tingling in his finger. Because that's now he's in the field zone of the magnetic gravitational field of the, what we call the spaceship. The reason you see collapse in the field is because the body needs the energy, so it absorbs it. You're carrying a lot of oxygen with you. Every single amino acid has an oxygen link in it. So the body absorbs a lot of energy and you see the collapse till it gets saturated and becomes part of it. So for the first time, now you have seen it. There is a video which I hope John can get access to it. Here you see they use the magnetic field ball, what I call the plasma zapper. In one video, which I don't know if John can find out, he shows he can build that directly from the system when he connects one of the lines in. Which means you can create your own energy field internally in the ring without any external, and the field expands. John, do you have that one where you show the plasma between the contacts of the wires, which you do on the ground? Do you have that video? You just sent it to me last week or so.
Was that the one with the violet ray, or which
No,
one?
the one which shows just you connect the magnetic field wire near to the other wire, and you see the spark.
Yes. I'll find it.
If you can show that, yeah. These are, you got to understand a lot of work now goes in Arizona for this research. As we said, they have the facility. The next facility will be ready early next year here in Ghana, because we have literally a building like Cape Canaveral. We have, I think it's about 15, 20 meter high, and it's just getting cleaned up, and it'll be the test center where we can actually test flight, lift and everything else in there. So you got to understand what these steps come to. You've seen the single Magrav power, then you saw how the field is. There is another video which shows the donut shape, which means you can control it to increase the field, the strength, that you can travel with a high speed. Now you saw the rings on the table. A lot of you have a lot of coils. You can make these rings and start testing yourself. Or those of you who have a lot of dynamic cores with different GANSes in, you can put it on the table, you come to the same conclusion, and then you can change, vary the things. Armen has just come up with a single system, beautifully he's done it. I'll ask him to show you. We hopefully can produce it in state or other places, that you can actually control a lot of things, internal, gravitational, magnetical. This process shows us now that now we made the field. For the first time, I told you, you see the shape of the spaceship. You saw the way the probe was going in and the light comes on. It has a defined shape of a spaceship. And it goes flat on the top because it domes in and it comes back. When you measure it on the other side, exactly 180 degree across, it's the same shape. So now, for the first time, you have seen the shape of the spaceship at the gravitational magnetic field. The step now with the coils, which going to sit on top of the Magrav unit, will now define the strength of the field. So we're coming to the second layer. This makes, there is one more step. Then you have your solid state. You can situationally see the field. What happens now is the gravitational magnetic field, which we saw with the 12 stackers, which is the last video, now has to interact with the Magrav magnetic field, the strength of the coils which are on the floor. Go back to the medical teaching. The coil underneath is the bottom layer. The set of coils which goes on it is a middle layer. We have two choices. To add a third dimension with the cores, with the star formation, but if the core goes down, you will lose the skin. So we need you to come up, or Arizona to come up with a third layer that we see the physicality. We now can feel it. When they start building the coils and putting it on top of the stackers, now you see nothing can happen. Now the structure is solid. Then we have to start moving in with the star formation. Now that we made this individual entity, we capsulated it, now we can shift it. As you heard in one of the videos, I asked John and his team to secure the cores, and he told you they have velcroed it to the ground, because you don't see it, but when the field comes, they move, they release it and say it doesn't work, but you haven't observed. One of the cores have moved a few millimeters, just creates a gap in the dam for the dam to flood out as the field, and you don't build it. So we asked John and his team to secure it, secure the board that is as one piece, that Now that we made the first spaceship, now we putting the next stacker to make the second level, because now they can control it. You will see in the coming time when they finish and they put, as I said, different power supply to each ring, then it's controlled that way. This is the ring you saw with Marcos. We put crosses across. Now the second layer comes on. Then with what John is going to show you, it gives you a very deep knowledge. And the depth of the knowledge is, you saw it with the zapper. Now the system zaps itself when it needs to create a field or to reduce it. This little spark you see, and the field expansion, the collapse of the field and the increase of the field, has a huge, what you call, scientific value for a spaceship. So you can zap, you can suddenly increase your field, keep the body the same, but expand your field that no meteorite can hit you, or you can go into the depth of the water. Can you please share it with us, John?
Okay, I got it ready here. We can go back to sharing screen.
Thank you very much for everything and your team in Arizona, John. It's
No
fantastic.
problem, it's our joy. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is we're actually using some of the Alekz beads technology. The other video you saw 2 extra magravs on the magnetical and 2 on the gravitational. This is where we're trying to put one extra magrav, one to control the gravitational, one to control the magnetical. So watch what happens when we hook these things up.
We're in Arizona again. What we did now was we put the Alekz bead configuration to our Magrav units. We have these 2 additional Magravs connected to the fields. So we have 18 in the center and 2 on the outside. But on the 2 on the outside, we connected the magnetic and the gravitational fields together on each of them, and now we're connecting them into the fields as a whole.
The magnetical.
Okay, so now Paul, show them what happens when we
And
take this gravitational field.
And when we connect gravitational field to the gravitational field.
Okay, and then David, the fields basically stay the same in terms of being 12 feet out, don't they?
Yeah. But when
David, you see anything different?
But
Okay.
when we touch,
When we touch, then the fields collapse.
to the 3 feet, 4 feet.
Yeah, it's about 3 to 4 feet.
But when we don't touch, we leave
don't
a little
touch,
bit
yeah.
gap. The
Okay,
field going back.
okay.
Look,
So
okay.
when we touch them, the fields collapse. Yeah, the whole fields collapse. Okay.
Okay, so that's that video. So what happened when we actually touched the gravitational field, it like all the fields collapsed. Are you there? Did I lose you?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we hear you. But you have to explain why John is collapsed when you touch the gravitational. Scientifically, to explain it is, you increase so much the gravitational field strength that it absorbs everything inside. This is what the fallacy which what do you call it, Hawking came up with, that the black holes are the center that absorb everything and nothing goes out. When you touch the gravity, the whole thing comes in, but you still have the magnetical, which reacts with the outside. You absorb all the fields, but only gravitation of it, and that's the reason. You see, it doesn't collapse. It centralizes to the middle ring. In further tests, you will see how the power concentrates in one position. In further developments in the coming weeks. I'll show you how to use these Magrav units in concentrating plasma fields, which means in a specific configuration you can open the space into direction of travel. What this means is this. I'm going to share again, John, with your permission, to add to the knowledge. What you can do in a I'm going to try to clean everything out here. What this means is that this is your reactors inside and the reactors outside. You can use a combination, and most of the time in your flight system, what we've shown with John with the Magrav units which go on top of the stackers, is that you create a field in the direction of the motion. You increase the magnetical field according that this goes further, and so you fly into the vacuum. You have no resistance ahead of you. Iranian and space people have done this to absolute effectiveness. So with the stackers, if you look at it, we put the stackers and now we put these Magrav units, they're gonna nano coat. But if you keep this to keep the shape, but you can change gravitational and magnetical of these here, that you create yourself extension of the fields. So you fly into, so there is no chance of anything ahead of you to touch you. You still have what you call the atmospheric condition shielding in totality, but now you strengthen it and you dictate direction of the position. You have a meteorite ahead of you, you have a huge, let's say, plasma field ahead of you, and you want to overcome it. If you drive into it, if you plasmatically run into it, you die. You create a huge mess in your shielding. But you can create a condition that you drive through it, because now you're shielded. You match the field strength with your thing, with your own shielding, by changing the field here. This is how we're walking into the space technology. This is because you understand slowly, slowly. There is a beauty with this. I explain this all the time. Many people understand it. At the present, what we call aircraft industry, where you have your jet motors, and this is your head of your plane, you see the, what you call the trailers, or what you like to call it, chemtrails nowadays. So the trail here shows the where the plane is heading, the head of it is, because the head of the engine, the head of the plane is ahead of the smoke, is in the back of it. With the space technology is different. The trail which you make ahead of you, actually your craft sits in the bottom of it. It's totally opposite. Here you're at mercy of God, that there is nothing there to touch you. Here you always fly in a very protected zone because you control it. This is why this technology, space technology, is so safe. This is why I asked John to go to develop these new rings which you saw to be nano-coated. They're connected with power supply. And then there is a second step into this. John refers back into what we call Alekz beads. If you look, the structure he said is a kind of Alekz beads. But you have these two beads here. What does it do? Go back to understanding. You have a feedback. What does it mean? You feed back to the other one and you feed back to itself. This is important because take these two in a very simple way. Take these two with the three connections of them and place them inside. Reverse the course internally. No rule says that you have to have your beads outside. Now make one coil and give it a feedback to this, and make one coil to feed back to itself, and you see what happens. Now you have created a self-sufficient power generator. Then you don't need to rely on outside. If you are scientifically understand the structure of the space technology and what is to come, what do you see? A lot of you who work with amplifiers, you understand it. Y connection, creation of potential difference. And then when you connect this, is delta connection, creation of power, flow of current. So now you see a self-sufficient, and this is what I kept on telling you, we're on the verge of releasing the generator. You have to understand where it comes from, but we're dealing it totally different. The top core becomes the weakest. We fill it up only with CH3. And the others, because we feel different. The internal confirmation, depending how we feed them, will dictate the potential, and we can increase it. Or we can go on a delta formation and do the current. But now, because we use coil, those of you who understand electronic and electrical, you've seen the structure of the new power generator. When I tell you we are on the verge, we do, because we produce so much, we have to reduce it. Now you bring a combination of the Magrav unit, stacker unit, the star formation together, and you have your self-sufficient. This is how the human cell works. This is how the amino acid works. I told you I opened the book of understanding of knowledge. Now you see where we are. Those of you who understood power generation, now because of the initial power created by the first bead, as you call it, you create your potential difference with it, with your Y and a delta. And if you connect it in the right way, this Y and a delta combination becomes the double coil, what we called feedback. Potential feeds on the current, and the current increases the potential, and then you have your system. This is vital, this is important in understanding of the technology. Why you saw John putting 3 reactor base in the middle, and then if you remember in one of the videos last time, there was a little reactor running in the middle. If you put a CHC reactor, a core on the top of the, what do you call it, the tripod, and then cover the other 3, now you can create lift. But you haven't structured the plane that it can lift off. You have to close and make it a self-contained, that whatever you do in it is yours. It's like a house. When you don't have doors and the walls in, the wind takes you anywhere. When you put your doors and walls in, which means you can recreate the spaceship, you can heat inside, you can grow a football match inside. It's all yours. You decide what happens in. And if it's like a balloon, you create enough weight reduction in mass, the house floats, or the balloon flies. We're not doing anything different. But now we are doing it with much more order of magnitude stronger. A lot of you have been asking me, can we have a blueprint for the generator? It's on the table in front of you if you understand all the plasma. Our generator is ready to be done, but we are perfecting it that you don't get huge 100, 200 kilowatts. A lot of being asking, can we see what happened with the generator? It's in front of you. The initial system was tested over 8 months ago. Vernie, are you in the background? Do you see Vernie?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, I'm here.
Vernie, when was the first time you tested this system, Delta configuration with the Magrav units? 6 months ago?
Yes, last year.
Last year.
I believe it was still real last year.
Yeah. So the system is there. I have to wait till your understanding matures. Otherwise become like Magrav system. You lot taught us a lot with the Magrav system. You all became monkeys, monkey see, monkey does. Nothing got added. It still stays the same. This time I want you to develop it. For me to put a generator on the table is a few minutes, but it becomes the abuse again and what we've seen. Nothing added. They're all after free energy, and then what we say, do with Keshe Foundation, and we become opposition. We've seen it now with the Bulgarian guy. He sells pens and the pads which he learned from the Keshe Foundation, and he goes and sits. Everything is wrong. I don't tell you I'm selling it, but I would like to say I'm wrong because I confirm my existence. We've seen Lutmil and his operation in Canada. Abuse of the technology. So the power unit, if you understand it, the generator is in front of you. In 1 second, in 2 seconds, I explain what you're all saying. Where is our generator? Is there? We have to complete it that you can collect it, and it can be used not only as a power supply but as a shielding system. We have to complete it. I foresee huge disasters by around Christmas, New Year in West Coast of the United States. I've said that months ago. And we see a lot of people on the internet now has got a bang on the bandwagon using it. Understand what is on the table. Understand what the beautiful knowledge is coming out of Arizona from what we call Philippine Research Centers and other places. Translate the knowledge inwards, and then you see what you have. Take the combination, understand the two systems which you came from Alekz bead is 3 pieces. One winding going to the other, one winding going back to itself. So now the 3 pieces is the 3 core reactors. Now you can do the same kind of connection. Now you have self-sufficient energy system internally. For deep space travel, there is no need for generator, because it's by order of amplification, you amplify the power by order of magnitude. This is our problem. 100, 200 kilowatt generator trying to produce and contain it to 3 or 4 or 5 kilowatt. Man is in the space if the man has the wisdom to understand what is got in his hand. Carry on, John, please.
That's all I have. I think I showed you already our attempt at the single Magrav spaceship. Is that correct?
Can you please, no, can you show it to us, please? I've seen it, but show it publicly, please. I know which one you're talking about.
Okay.
I stopped sharing that, you can share with us.
Let me find it first.
Okay, while we are waiting, Armen, are you there?
Yes.
Armen, can you share with us your new design for the single Magrav unit plasma?
I want to ask you one question, Mr. Keshe.
No, you keep on asking question. Do good. Show me what you have first. Go on, ask the question, no problem.
Okay, this one. This one
You
is...
share the screen. Share your screen, we don't see it. And explain why and how you're doing it. You're perfect in these things.
Okay, 1 minute.
David. Okay, we're here in Arizona.
I think this one. No. Where is it?
Test.
Between the Magrav.
it can go up to 11, 12,000 round per minute, Mr. Keshe.
We've
Hello?
seen you building these. What's the difference between this and the 129?
I couldn't hear it. What is it? I'm sorry.
I said, we've seen you building, you're expert building these cores.
Mhm.
But what's the difference between this and the 129 setup we had, which you built 2 years ago?
Inside core, I have double cores, so they independently, are rotating. That's the difference only for the cores.
Okay. Now, let me add to the knowledge in a different way. Armen, John, close your screen. If you look at this one single, you send me a 3-dimensional design of it. Can you put that on?
Sure.
Do you have it there?
Yeah, 1 minute.
You got it?
Yeah, let me find it. That's all.
Okay, while you're finding it, let me explain what it means. You
I have,
found it?
yeah. Okay.
This is the design we see there. Now, look at this design. You've seen it working. Keep it there, Armen. If you understood the work of the Magrav units or the stacker units, and look what is here. If you make 18 of these single units and put it out, you can change anything. You can make connections that you decide which connection. I'm going to try to annotate with this, please.
Sure.
Okay. You see here, you have your gravitational and a magnetic. Let's say you have another unit here. You've seen John putting the system on. You can connect magnetical of this one to this one, or you can connect magnetical to the gravitational, or you can do vice versa, the same. So now you see, going out of the coils, if you have a dynamic system, 18 of these sitting around, you save yourself putting a stacker and a coil and another dimension to it. This becomes the true plasma technology. In the order of the magnitude of understanding, and you can balance these out, you will see very interesting thing. 12 cores like this, and 6 cores like this, and 3 cores like this will create you, instead of just having the coils with the dynamic cores like this individually standing where the stacker units are, and understanding how you can connect fields with each other without even wires, then you go into a real true spacecraft without connection. Because these will dictate their own positions. We don't need to fix them, because you'll find out they will rotate. Those of you who have seen the spacecraft, the spaceships, you see these 4, they always stay in concentration, the star formation. But you see these in rotation. And the speed of rotation in a given direction, controlling by the magnetic field side, dictates the direction of the flight. I have invited the Iranian spaceship scientists to join the Keshe Foundation. We await for the Iranian government response. You will see more.
Mr. Keshe,
Yes.
what do you think of these reactors being in a vacuum chamber?
It's all the same. They create their own shell. You don't need to be in a vacuum. They create their own, what do you call it, the skin. In the teaching this week, I joined in one of the private teachings. I don't usually get the time, but I had the time, and I joined in. And I explained something very simple. Can I share, please, the screen? This is in the private teachings. They were talking about, the teaching was going on about the fields and how the reactors works and the rest of it. Those of you who understand this will understand exactly what you got to do. There was an explanation about, I explained how in the egg, the shell is created. You have the yolk, let me do it that we all understand it. We have the yolk of the egg, then we have the white of the egg, if I can put it here like this. And then how is the, what we call, the shell of the egg is created? How does an egg creates its shell all the time? It is very interesting to know how it does it. How on an automatic base every day shell is created. Where does it come from? Once the yolk and the white is made. The creation of the calcium shell is understanding of the knowledge, what you already know. This is the womb, what we call, of being a snake, a chicken, or whatever. Go back in the teaching, understanding of the teaching. It takes 3 layers to manifest what we call tangibility. The yolk creates its own gravitational magnetic field. The white creates its own gravitational magnetic field. Now you need the third to create the eggshell. How does it come? The womb creates the second from inside, is the way its gravitational field force does, and it's got the property of the structure of the second layer, and the body over the evolution time of the planet have created that both entity decide to give tangibility. And the field strength created between the womb and the yolk and the white leads to the creation of the shell. And that shell, the strength decided, is equal to the calcium which is coming from the chicken. Chicken does not need to have calcium to build it. Chicken can do without a calcium, or animal can do to create that skin shell, not necessarily the hard shell. So for the first time we understand how shells are created. So if you understand this, and you understand what I spoke about, the third part, you have a stacker, you create the ring, you create the 2 parts, the yolk and the white. Let the gravitational field, the magnetic field of the environment gives you the tangibility in that environment. Then this way you exist any dimensions in the universe. You don't need to change to aluminium or another one. You always stay. The environment, if you know how to create it, because it's got its own layer of gravitational magnetic field, and in the universe you create a continuous shell. Does not matter either in depth of the star, inside the inner sanctums of a planet, or in deep space in a free plasma attachment. Now, If you understand it, you see how reptiles do it, how chickens been doing it, and for man, we never understood it. Because if we put a man in a shell, as it does with the reptiles, you ask a woman to give a birth. It's such a huge mess. In the mammal, the structure of the inner layer of the womb has changed, does not allow solidification. But in a specific order through the membrane, or what we call RNA and DNA, allows the creation of the structure of the first bone, because it creates that gravitational magnetic field. Then the child has the first bone. There's no difference between the shell plasma which created the egg of the shell, or the bone of the chicken in the middle. But it's a specific field combination very rapidly working that gives you the structure of the bone. So you understand this, you understand what John is doing at Arizona, then you understand where your third shell comes, that on atmospheric Earth you still have the shell, but you still create a plasmatic shielding. It's two different things. You touch the egg which comes out of the chicken, it's still warm. But you still have the solid skin. Child is born with a heartbeat, still warm, but with the skin of the man. You put that skin in a different atmospheric condition, you get different color of the man, but the reality hasn't changed. The man inside is the same structure. Racism has no meaning for those who understand the reality of science. It's the ignorance of the man. Understand the depth of the knowledge of the plasma. Understand the interaction of the fields. The knowledge is deep enough that it can interact internally. We see now the team in Arizona, the team in Philippines. We have other teams which are working now, scientific team we put together in Ghana and in Austria and other places. They are all bringing the knowledge in a very compact way in their own zone of speciality. Try to understand why and how the field interact, and they give you the appearance of what you see, not what has been accepted. And then if you understood how the actual is created, you understand how you can create the shape of the craft. What is missing? Replication of gravitational magnetic field of the Earth within the structure of your craft or the point of destination. At the point of arrival and the transportation time, you always have a physical tangibility of containment or field, which you call it, if you call it the Coulomb's barrier, at this point the Coulomb's barrier at certain point solidifies, gives you physical structure. Blessed those who understand. Then you can take man to space in no time. Carry on, Armen.
Me?
Yes, you were showing your reactors.
I want. Okay. You want me to go back on it?
Yes, please. What is the difference between this and 129, sir?
Nothing.
Have you moved any forward in past 2 years?
No, it's the same thing.
Now it's understanding which makes the difference.
Correct. I want to add one more thing, Mr. Keshe.
Yep.
If I'm correct. What I did in this copper and actually CU.
We don't see it, you gotta share your screen.
Okay. Sorry. What I did in this it's actually copper and copper, nano-coated copper and plain copper, which you see on this side. You know, I changed the condition. In the salt water, I added NaOH, and I increased a little bit amperage and voltage. And what I saw, it started growing nanomaterial on top of it. Is this principal matter, Mr. Keshe? Because it comes out from the matter, so it's total nano-coated, but still carries a field of the matter, correct?
Your non-nano coated copper is on the side we don't see. Am I correct?
This is non-nano coated copper, which become this black.
Non-nano coated.
Yes.
Where is your nano coated?
Is on another side.
It's on that side. Now look, because you put current into it, yeah. Now you put a current into a non-nano coated, which is plain copper. And the reason these flakes stand like this is because you got your GANS material on the other side. If you connect just electricity to it, connect the two plates together, you will get the plasma of the copper, and then somewhere in the middle gets oxidized. Now you are releasing fair amount of copper, but you have put a magnet on the other side, which is a nano-coated plasma of the plate.
Right.
So these are all facing, trying to get to there, and you just make like mountains on it.
Yes.
These are GANS materials. I tell you something very interesting you can play, and those of you who understand what I'm talking about and you do it. I showed this to Klaus, what's his name? The guy in Germany, who's a Spanish.
Eric.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, Eric, yeah. And he understood, but he went different way, but you understand it very clearly if I explain to you now. What all of you have done, you have dipped the copper wire or copper plate into the caustic. And then you want to use this, see how you can get energy from it. I'm going to share this 1 second, yeah? What is interesting, all of you, what you all done, is that all of you done this, which I've thought about it when you lot are going to see this. What you've done, you have taken a copper plate and then you have nano-coated it. What about any of you? Now you put, like Armen, a plate on the other side, a copper plate, and now you see the field strength. Now this is becoming GANS state, but this is a solid, not changing. The current here changes, so you start getting your nanomaterials stacking up. These are nano papers. This is one of the ways to produce nanosheets. This has huge application, but that's different. But now, none of you, I told Eric and he cleverly understood, but he could not take it any further. None of you have played this game. Make sure that the heat of the caustic does not go to the other side, and just nano-coat one side of the plate. Internally on the same material, you have everything you want and a massive energy supply, power supply. This is your solar cell. If you can submerge it in the GANS of the copper, God help you what you can get on the other side. In a lot of his work, every now and then when Eric writes something, He hasn't understood to explain it, but this is what he's talking about. If you go back in, even I think it's in the patterns, you will see it. We speak about nano coating sections, where you can create a lot of power in between. These are the things which you can do. In nuclear technology, these things have a lot of application. What about you put the zinc nano-coated and a copper and put current through the copper and the zinc, and you see what comes out. You get a new material, you get a compound GANs, a composite GANs.
I can show that to you.
Pardon?
I can show it. If you want.
Show it, please. You've done that?
Yes.
Show us, please. Let me stop sharing them.
This has a combination of it. This is a zinc.
No, we don't see. You gotta share.
Here, this is zinc, and this is iron. And
Yeah.
Back plate is copper nano-coated. So I have 3 materials in one box.
And what do you get inside?
First I produce CO2. Then after I produce CO2, I hang the iron and I change the condition. I put some caustic in it. And look what happened.
It's the same thing. But now you have a composite material in the middle.
Yes.
It's a combination of CO2, zinc oxide, and copper oxide all together.
But this is in nano state, Mr. Keshe. You have still...
No, it's in a GANs state.
This is in a GANs.
What is floating in the middle is in a GANs state.
No, not in the middle. I'm talking about...
Yeah, that is still nano state. But it's the first time you see vertical nano state instead of horizontal.
Yeah, but this is like a powderish. When it falls down, you can collect it as a dust.
The point of the fall is when the gravitational magnetic field cannot hold on anymore.
Yeah, but this still carries the matter field.
Yeah, it carries GANs field. Now it's in a plasma state. It's a nano-material state.
Is it the principal matter?
What do you call everything is a principal matter. It's start of something.
Let's say copper principal matter, because you have nano now in nano state and in a GANs state too. Because before it's in a GANs state, so you collect in one box GANs and nano together.
More or less, if you look, Armen, is your GANs, which is your principal, not the nano layer stuff. The energy goes from the center, which is more free than the one which is attached to matter.
Okay.
And the water between the two is the transition. But in this case, your matter state is a GANs, or what you call nano-coated state of the copper or zinc. This is what we're just talking about, the shell of the egg. You see the matter is created in the middle of nothing. The grayish, bluish material in the middle. Thank you very much, Armen. Are there any questions up to now? Or we go to another part of the teaching?
Would you like me to show that one other video?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this one wasn't a... So what we've done here, this is what I call the flying Magrav, or the Magrav spaceship. We took the magnetic and connected all of magnetic lines together, the coils together, and we connected all the gravitational lines together. And then what we did is we hooked them up to these power supplies initially to try to control the gravitational field and the magnetic field separately, and vary the voltage between them. What we found is that our power supplies were pretty weak, so we tried to amplify it. So let's watch what happens when we do this.
The banner ray.
Okay, kind of be careful now.
A little power.
Because we got power on both sides. Just go slow, David. We're probably gonna burn out those little capacitors, those little transformers. How about the temperature? We're okay?
The
What time?
field is just going a little higher.
So the fields are definitely going bigger.
We're going to change
Keep going.
to the other one. We're going to change to the other one.
And that's the magnetical. You're still on the magnetical side, David.
This is the magnetic. Okay, we'll go to the other one.
What happens to the fields?
No,
Paul?
I didn't put.
Okay, go ahead. The fields are going. Just keep it on it, David. Let's just measure the fields. So we're about 3 feet high. Okay, so what happens when you now go to the magnetical and see what happens? Magnetical. Go a little bit higher. Go a little bit higher. So we're about 3.5 feet higher. A little bit higher with the magnetical side.
Yeah, a little bit higher.
How about out? Go out. Paul, go out. Out this way. How far out are you? Well, you're about four or 5 feet. Yeah, 4 or 5 feet out. Now go back over to the gravitational and see what happens. David, go to gravitational and see if you.
David,
Put it back over here. This guy right here.
It's getting hot.
Or it's going off the chart.
Okay, stop. How hot is it?
No, it's.
So what we're finding is happening when we go from this power supply to this power supply. When we turn on the violet ray, we're feeding power back into this power supply, and we're sending it off the charts.
And over.
So that was that test. It was interesting. I think that conceptually, I think we have it right with a single Magrav. Power supplies weren't able to generate much power, if you will. They're only 3 voltage. So that's all I got.
Okay. Now you see from this last test with feeding the gravitational and magnetical separate and now converting the knowledge into a single coil which goes on the top, how you can increase or reduce the magnetical or gravitational field strength. You got to remember, when you add these coils and you connect only magnetical or gravitational, they become amplifiers, but in a plasmatic in order of magnitude. In your spaceship, you can use one of the dynamic cores as this, if you know how to load it. So you have an internal dynamic transformer. Vernie did some work on this and he abandoned it because at that time he couldn't understand. Now maybe he can see it. In the teachings I don't push anything, I just enlighten. It's the understanding which has to mature to understand what was going on. You got to go in a step further in the knowledge. Is there have you managed to find a donut shaped video, John? Hello? John?
Yeah, I think that one I shared was kind of the donut-shaped one.
No, the one which you go inside and you see the dome, the donut internally.
Okay, I think what happened when we saw that donut was when we went into the middle of the field to measure it, I think we impacted the field itself.
Yes, but has a lot of meaning because it shows you can create a gravitational pull and create a donut shape, because you show the donut shape of the field very easily. The, the important things in what John is doing is the size of the field, the expansion of the field. You reduce it, become the size of a kidney, you expand it, becomes hundreds of meters wide. There is no difference between what? If you turn a kidney a sideways, it's like a spaceship. If you turn the heart in the right way, it still looks like a spaceship. If you turn your, look at the structure of the brain, it's still a spaceship. Because the way the field connect and interact, and the stability is always found in half dome. If you find it, let us have a look, because the one you showed us today shows clearly, especially where we see where you touch your field and you can feel the vibration inside and there is nothing outside. So you have found the parameters about 12 feet radius, or 4, 8, let's say 8 to 10 meter diameter spacecraft.
Yeah, I think I found the one you're looking for here.
Yes, can you share it with us, please?
Yeah, let's try it.
You got to name these that you can go to it very easily.
I know. Well, I got them on. Some of these are on private, so I have to, find them in my.
Back here in Arizona again, we reconfigured our system so that we have 3 transformers on the outside and 3 on the inside. And these little boxes here are going to be our stands for our motor setup. We have 3 of those around. Well, I only see 2 of them.
No, I apologize. This is not this one I showed last week. Sorry, this isn't it. I have to find it.
No problem. Try to find it next time, because it's all part of the same. As we said, we go by December into the spaceship development. Very soon you will see the spaceship, the structure of it, the control of it, and it all goes back to what I said in the Susanna over 18 months ago, when we showed the unit with Marco. This is a mothership blueprint. The way it's connected, the way it is there, the way the system has combination of the bead, magnetic gravitational field, instead of a stacker unit, you have plasma core, which is a static, you can change it, the connection, and then the stacker inside. Are there any questions? Or we go to the next step.
Morning, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, Azar.
I have a question. All the magnetic field that we observe here, are they active?
Of course. If it's not active, you can't see it.
So when is it passive?
Never passive.
So what's the definition of passive magnetic field?
A passive term is, in a way, when it's not applicable to the state you are, even though you're dynamic, and itself is dynamic.
Because in your book,
When there is no interaction, because there are 2 different strengths. It's very much like 220 and 110. They are both electric current, but one, if you connect to the other, does not work or gets burned because it's too much of. But both of them exist parallel next to each other.
but is there any time we call a magnetic field passive?
The point when it's not needed, or you, in respect to you, you don't have a need for it, or in respect to another field, there is no need what is present. It passes you.
Okay, so somebody has a magnetic field, but he's or she's sitting in front of me. I don't need it, so I can call it passive.
It's passive because it's not matching yours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? We are in 2 hours 15 minutes of the teaching. Is there anything you want to show, Rick?
I think there's probably some other questions. There was a questioner, or Zane had something he wanted to ask. I can promote him to a panelist. I did have something from Farhead as well. He has a short video, and it's about
his plasma field video. Is that the one he shows the thing?
A coil, or I haven't looked at it yet. He just sent it to me.
No, it's okay. You don't need to show that one. I've seen it.
Okay.
He's got to put it on the. It's a very nice explanation. It's got to be made with Kevin Blundell background to it.
Okay.
Perfect video for what it is. It's a very nice explanation.
Okay, I've got a lady called Sue. That's. Let me just bring it up so I can find it here. She has a.
Have you heard anything from our traveling band? They were in Dakota recently.
Rick, can I ask a question?
Who's that?
Just a minute, Zane. Mr. Keshe just asked me a question here. Don't interrupt, please.
I'm sorry.
I asked Dakota with the Red Indians, the Keshe Foundation team, were somewhere there recently.
Well, we had Carrie and Whitney. They were the, what would you call it, the plasma workshop team that went across North America and in up to my area here in the Northwest, and then back through again. And they had some things they brought, I believe, to the Standing Rock group there. And then there's supposed to be a more recent move by someone, I can't remember who exactly, to get some sort of Keshe representation right in the camp and give workshops right in the camp setting where they are now.
We had a number of requests from the Native Americans that we take the knowledge to them, and this is a nice way which is getting done. In a few years they've been asking us.
That's right. We had the, I believe it's called the Five Nations group, and the women from that group, strangely enough, demanded that they, get in touch with the Keshe Foundation and so on, which they did, and just establish a connection with Mr. Keshe, or with the Keshe Foundation. Both.
By the way, before I forget, we've received the invitation from the university in Philippines, and we have responded. We will attend the conference in Philippines. We will present the technology in the university in the conference. And thank you very much for the head of department and the Keshe Foundation team in the Philippines for the invitation. Renan, would you like to explain where and what it is, please, if you're there in the background? Hello?
See if Renan's... He's listed as a panelist here, so just give him a minute to see if he's available. Renan, are you there? Can you hear us? See, you're still muted, so...
Well, Dr. Keshe, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, carry on.
Okay, I've been making some reactors. I'd like to turn my video on just to give you an example.
Well, wait, before you show us any video, what is on the video? Is there any music?
Well, it's just live from my phone. I'm right in my office. There's no commentary or anything to it.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Okay,
We are breaking down.
one of my questions. One of my questions is, okay, I've been building these static reactors, and I'm creating them to the point where they have a pulse, where they're feeding themselves. And I just wanted your opinion on if I was to charge these capacitors, okay, and then put it to the static reactor, would that be turning the voltage into current and then actually making the plasma become of itself contained inside the static reactor?
Vernie, you're an expert in this. Would you like to answer it with all the reasons?
Yes.
Go
These
ahead, please.
are conventional capacitors, right? These are not plasma capacitors.
No, these are the static reactors. They have the coils inside of them. I made this one last night. It just I got 2 wires in the inside, but I took 2 coils and I just ran them opposite of each other and twist them together and then put them inside. And then there's a tube inside that. I haven't loaded them with GANs yet, but I was just wondering if I hit them like with a taser of a lot of volts, will it turn it into a plasma current? Hello? Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I took some.
I'm waiting for Vernie to answer you. Hello, Vernie, are you there?
Hello, hello. I got.
Okay, because see, I want to use those. I want to use. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So no, I was disconnected. I have this problem recently. 5 times, 7 times disconnected.
Okay. All right. Okay. Listen, I built a static reactor. Okay, and it is of itself, so it's got a pulse within itself. Now, what I was thinking is if I was to charge these 2 capacitors up, all right,
Okay.
and then tase the static reactor, if all that voltage would turn into current and like totally activate that, and like, would it contain a plasma? Would it contain a current that all that voltage pushed into it?
Yeah, the question would be, where would you like to put these capacitors?
I want to put them inside my stacker that the gravitational and the magnetical are separated, and I want to be able to feed my magnetical with the current and have like the low back feed going back to the gravitational. And if I can get enough, that's what I was thinking about these reactors. If I can pump them up, if I can get them where they can sustain the current, then I've just transferred voltage to current, and maybe they'll do what they're supposed to do.
Yes, I think you're correct on that part.
Because I hooked those coils up, I intertwined them, okay, and I made them opposite of each other, and then I hooked one to a car battery and one to a 6-volt battery, and they created a frequency, and it would go from my right ear to my left ear, from my right ear to my left ear. And then I have a Magrav that's hooked up, and I plugged in a battery charger to that Magrav that was connected to the battery that was running on the coils. And the Magrav made a sound like, and then it maintained a frequency. There was 3 different frequencies, but
Okay, I think you can use your capacitors to support the coils you have there. You can place that across.
place it across. See, I built one where I had this 3 stacker, but it's they're all tied together like a stacker's supposed to be. They weren't individually magnetical and gravitational, and I had them inside of a reactor that I made a 50 and 50 KOH in a sodium hydroxide mix. And man, whenever it was all together, it was truly amazing in here. But I used bottle caps for the ends, made them just a, those for the taser, right? Vernie?
Oh.
Yes. Okay, let me get out of here. Okay, so Vernie, I can hit them with those high voltage capacitors, and they'll obtain the current.
Depends how you connect the capacitors.
Okay,
No. Let me explain. Let's add to the knowledge. You brought an idea on the table. Let's add.
Okay.
Look at the heart chamber. The 2, after a while ago, this is why.
Yes, sir.
System like what we saw with Douglas could not be sustained. When you use capacitors, you need to go back, look at the structure of the heart. Why do you have 4 chambers?
For the pulse.
Yes. So 2 capacitors. I've explained this in one of the private teachings to American naval officers of the London, what do you call it?
Marine 2 capacitors would create the pulse.
You have no. Stop.
Okay.
You have to go back if you want to understand what I'm talking about. Go back into teaching we done with Dr. Kostova some years ago in respect to the heart, and understand if you're asking or looking for a pulse, how the pulse and the reason for the pulse of the heart, the body called created. You need 4 capacitors.
Yes, I have 5, but
understand the principle. You can have 100, doesn't matter.
Right.
You have to understand the concept and principle how the heart works.
One feeding into the other like an infinity loop.
Each chamber is connected to another of the opposite in a cross, but 2 chambers across feed the others through the wall of the heart when they are in a magnetic gravitational field balance. The problem with understanding or looking at the physical structure of the heart is that we looked at which one pumps where, but you got to understand now that we added to the knowledge, the heart itself is in a plasma condition. The liquid, which is the blood, is in a GANS plasma condition. So it's not only the physical operation, it's the magnetic gravitational interaction between the ones as well. So it's not just because you put the capacitors together and they're gonna work. Look at the size of the chamber, each one, the position. And you have not only to understand to position it, is not just to having it. What capacitance you put, where, and how you position it in respect to the other 2 or 3. You have to learn, in addition to, is that what about a lot of you, nobody does this. We've seen something somewhere and then it disappears. You have to then confine these capacitors in a plasmatic condition, not in an earth condition. You want to replicate it, do it properly. So what it means, put these capacitors in a box, connect it the way you see it as it is, and then for it to go and work in a plasma condition, put this box inside a GANS box, liquid GANS plasma. You create a vacuum condition, as you create a plasmatic condition for it. And then you will see that your capacitors will start behaving as a GANS, as a plasmatic condition, not as a matter capacitor. This is what you got to, this is what is important to understand. You do half of the job, or you understand one part of it, but you have to understand the totality of it. You have to create all the conditions the correct way. And then one of the best way is, that's why the Magrav units work in the environment of the new reactors. You see the space reactor, because now it's cocooned in its own shell. You have the capacitors. I've seen many people playing with capacitors, but none have understood the work of it. But with Vernie and with Vernie, he plays a lot with different GANs combination inside each other, but never connection has been made. What about if I put them in a given condition in the GANs matter? Then can I encapsulate the rings? Once you keep the whole thing together, the thing will work. Not half of one place and half of the other, and say because he works there and he works there, he has got to work here. The link missing is the environment with plasmatic condition. Thank you very much.
Vernie has a comment in the chat here about how the capacitor can help exchange the energy with the coil, that both of them can sustain the exchange back and forth. He is right that he can convert the voltage into current the moment the capacitor is in discharge mode. This moment of discharge charges the coils. The charge and discharge conditions are the pulses. The excess of the discharge goes to balance that needs the balance. Okay, I think he had to write that because he was having trouble with his audio, perhaps.
Vernie is brilliant. He's a master in these things. He understands it very well. Any other comment? Hello? If there is nothing.
Is there anything else you want to say about that, Zane, or are you okay on that explanation?
No, that was perfect, man. And thank you, Dr. Keshe, man. I'm gonna do exactly as it I see it, and this thing's gonna work. I'm gonna have a donut ship. Now controlling it is gonna be a little different.
No, it's very easy. Go back into the teaching.
Yes, sir. I've been working on it. I have GANS balls with my DNA in it, hanging from my ceiling.
Good morning. So you don't need much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There was a question. Somebody started talking in the background.
Yeah,
it was me, Mr. Good morning, it's Lisa.
Hello. Sorry, yes, it is. Go ahead. Yes.
Mr. Keshe.
Who is that? Lisa from Australia.
That's right.
Good morning, Your Excellency.
Morning, Mr. Keshe. I wonder if you could please just help me a bit and clarify. I'm busy trying to do the GANs of the nitrogen. And
what?
The GANs of nitrogen for the plant.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying a few different types, and I'd like to sort of get a bit of an understanding on if I add the caustic, because I've got urea and I've got nitrate, and they both are obviously in a sort of a crystalline form, which I've created a liquid, and then I've added the caustic. But I'm not sure whether I'm creating the GANs of the nitrogen, or whether I'm just making GANs of the fillers that come with the fertilizer.
Is it the material black?
No.
What color is it?
All of them are sort of very fluffy whitish. I've tried it with the calcium nitrate. I've tried it with the urea. I've tried it with a mixture of ureas, and they all just come out a very sort of a whitish, fluffy type GANs.
We do a different way. We use silver oxide, silver nitride, sorry, and we see it black. And one of the easiest ways to do a nitride, if you want to do it as a GANs, is go back to what you did with orange. Create a CO2. Create a CO2 and place the nitride on top of the CO2. That CO2 carries the energy of the nitrogen, and that usually works. But you can do it with vegetation. If you can find vegetation with a high nitride, you'll do the same.
I've also tried it with the water from our aquaponics system, because it's got a very high nitrite and nitrate level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got GANs there, but as I said, I don't know if it's actually part of it is nitrogen.
If you have a problem with these things, very simply, go back to the teaching, go back to the original teaching. If you ever have a problem to produce something you cannot produce, yeah?
Yeah.
If you have it or not. Go back on the teaching of how you make CO2. Look at the choice of the two metals that it created, gravitational magnetic of carbon. So now you look this way, you go, you cannot make nitrogen on its own. It's got to be oxided, definitely. So choose two plates, nano coat the lightest one. Don't nano coat the heaviest one. Nano coat the lightest one. If you look, we use zinc and copper. Zinc is much heavier than the copper. This is how I always chose the material for nano coating and creating what do you call it, fields of the material. So let's say you take a metal. What is aluminium?
I can go and get my little list if you'd like.
Yeah. Look at, just for example, look at aluminium, or look at a metal which the magnetic gravitational mass is 14 in respect to another metal or nearest metal to it. Nano coat the lightest one, put it in the salt water, you have nitrogen oxide, because you create gravitational magnetic field of the nitrogen in the liquid. This is one of the easiest way to make sure you have what you're looking for.
So yes, aluminium is 14.
Pardon?
Aluminium is 14.
Aluminium can't be 14.
14 plus 13 is 27.
27. Okay. Now you need to add 14 to it. It's 41, 42. Look at the potassium. Or look, what's the one after 41, 42?
Oh, arsenic. I don't think so.
No, that's the example. You understand?
Yes, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So choose, you can't use potassium because you have a lot of sparks and firework. this is the way you create the gravitational mass between the two, and hopefully some of the material has that spectrum of the fields inside it. And now between the two you have created a magnet of nitrogen. You have created environment of NOS, NaOH. Now what you get at the bottom is a pure nitrogen oxide which you can use.
And how close does the number have to be? I suppose with that it's got to be
What do you mean, how close?
To the 14.
You have 20% playtime. Either way. That's why you have isotopes.
Okay.
Somewhere in between you go to 26, 24, and somewhere on the next metal you go to 44, 45, 39, 38. So between the two there's always a spectrum of the molecular structure in one and the other, which creates that between the two, what you're looking for at nitrogen.
Okay, and so I'm just looking for 14. The oxygen will just pop on its own.
Won't pop out because you're doing it in a salt environment, NaOH, and then you're doing you nano-coated. Now you go into salt with water. It's the energy of the salt which come in. But there's a trick with nitrogen. Nitrogen, if you have a spectrum of different materials in it, and the bandwidth is about near enough, as you found the gap between some to create nitrogen and what do you call it, different spectrum strength of it, nitrogen is 14, oxygen is 16, carbon is 12. So when you play with this kind of bandwidth, you create not only nitrogen, you're creating some oxygen too, because some of the atomic structure between one lower and higher is of the level of oxygen 16. So partially the nano or GANS state of the nitride oxide is created inside the system itself, by itself, due to the composite mixture of the different strength material in what you used. As I said in the other teaching, you understand? Yes. So it's very, very, you don't need to go up, go to, for example, iron. Add 14 to it, see where is the metal, sit with zinc, add 14 to it, or take 14 away from zinc. You look at this, allow 20% mass difference plus minus. At that ratio is about 30%.
And do I need to take into account? Do I need to take into account the fact that it's nano-coated? Does that?
No, nano-coating, it means you create the environment of.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it makes it easier. That's why that's a tool. Nano-coating is a tool.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That gives me a lot to work on now. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We try to understand most of these things, and as you see, even the member of the Earth Council still are at it. The position hasn't made any difference. The understanding of the conversion is important. This brings us to a part of teaching which we were touching with in respect to the medical application. When you look at the medical application and you allow the depth of the understanding in that everything has a spectrum and you can use it and how you can use it, it makes it very, very difficult for anything to be, or it stops all the ambiguity in understanding of the science. We need to be able to translate the information. We need to be able to translate the knowledge in a way that we need to do to reach the point of being able to maintain and hold on to what is or what we expect from our systems. In so many ways, what we have to learn is find replication of it or find parallels to it. Try to add to the knowledge in a in-depth way that explains a lot of things. The conversion of the materials, how our body converts, what's the reason of the conversion, how does it come to material behaves like the other one. In a recent teaching in the medical section, we were explaining how actually does the immune system work. What's the reason, the way the immune system work? Why, for example, we see things like silver oxide and silver has been found to be working on certain diseases and has been popular with the humanity. We look at the comparison, why it runs that kind of parallel. For example, one of the reasons, this is to add to the knowledge, those of you who are in the health, interested in the health section, and this is important because if you understand this, you can do a lot with in the world of medicine. What is important? Let's look at the what we call the immune system. If you look at the immune system and say, why can we choose, or why do we see effectiveness of silver? There is a lot of debate that does the silver oxide works, or this, what is the claim on the nano silver? Why does it work? There is a lot of people who don't understand it, the opposite. In one of the health teachings in the past few weeks, I was explaining how it works, the reason it works. You have to understand the structure of the body of the man, how the immune system is built, how materials inside the body of the man convert from one to another to create the condition when it is needed. We spoke about the creation of the shell, of the egg, or the creation of the bone. When a fetus is growing, it has no bone. Where does the bone coming from? How is the condition is made for the bone to be created? Now we understand for the first time from the creation of the calcium shell of the egg. The structure within the body creates the field that is equal to the calcium, but in that condition, in the environment of the womb or egg, that dictates calcification level, plasmatic magnetic field. Now you have created the bone. The bone is porous. If you look at all the amino acids of the body of the man, which are linked to what we call the immune system, the defense system. If you look at it as we understood in the original teaching of the medical, so what happens? You have the bone, then this bone, you get the lymph to go in, and when the lymph goes inside, now crossing the wall of the bone, it becomes what we call of the strength, which the body has decided to be of the strength of the what we call bone marrow, or combination which bone marrow becomes red blood cells and other cells and immune cells, T4 and B cells. As the lymph crosses the bone structure, and as is the bone structure of the calcium which calls in upon the lymph to go. So within the structure of the immune system cells, there is built-in calcium, because it was a calcium vibration, a strength which created the attraction of the lymph to pass through the bone. And in that process, it carries itself the gravitational magnetic field of the calcium. So now you have calcium in your T cells as it comes out, because it's the seed, it's a holder, it's the connector. So now, why do all the calciums are connected with the immune system? Why, if you have low calcium level, you can affect your immune system too? Certain strength calciums are connected with amino acids. Certain strength calciums are connected with a bone. Certain calciums in different strength are connected with different level of amino acids, with different immune system. So now you have created a cell of, let's say, T4. In it, we all know there is a factor of calcium, because it's the seed, that's how it came from. Now, the T cell crosses and goes into the lymphs, goes into thymus and the rest, and in conjunction with the amino acid body of the man, at a point when there is a disturbance in the balance field, the T cells or the B cells or the immune system attend the injury or whatever. What's got to do with calcium? How does calcium help with being attached to amino acid with a disease, with an infection? There's a secret in the structure of the body of the man. If you look at the spectrum of the calcium, I think Stanley, we've done this, you know exactly where to look for. Can you pull up calcium and then for us to look at the spectrum of the calcium, please? Then what happened? This calcium, look at the periodic table. Where does it sit next to potassium? Calcium in the environment of infection, because it's a higher order, is weaker than the infection which is created so much energy inside that you have an infection. That condition takes the calcium level energy which is at the potassium level. Now, because it's given some of its energy trying to balance out in the environment, now it creates potassium. Potassium now, part of it in that level becomes potassium 40, which is radioactive, delivery of high energy beta. So now you bombard the air, the infection with a high dosage of energy. That's how bacteria or infections in the body of the man are destroyed. Because the calcium, in approaching and coming to the point of infection as an immune system, is the calcium which by conversion in the strength to potassium creates a radioactive minus beta or beta plus, depending on what is fighting or what is delivered. It has to deliver a stronger or receive weaker. Then you deliver a heavy dosage of high energy, which is potassium 40, which is a highly radioactive. And we explained this, I told you how I used it to create nanomaterial when you want a high dosage in a barbecue liquid. It's no difference. So now for the first time, the world of science understands why there's a calcium in the immune system. Because it's in arrival and its position is weaker, it tries to get some energy, it loses initially to outer layer of the cell, and then it becomes weaker, it becomes lower, it moves to potassium as in a calcium, and then it releases the high dosage of beta, radiation we call it, which is a strong one dosage, and then that's how the infection has overcome. You destroy the cell. That's why you take antibiotics. This is the principle behind the structure of the antibiotics. This is the principle behind the structure of the immune system body of man. Now, look at this figure. Stanley, can you bring up the page, or Dr. Klaus, if you are there, you could bring it up.
The isotopes of calcium and isotopes of...
Isotopes of calcium, please, if you can bring it.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at this? I stopped sharing. This is a breakthrough in knowledge and science in the world of medicine. Those of you who understand it, you understand with this, we have changed the world of science in explaining for the first time how it works. It's adding to the knowledge. Can you share it with us, please?
Give me a few minutes. Okay.
Would half an hour do?
I can also share it, Stanley, if you like.
Yes, please go ahead, please. So now what you see, this is what has been taught in the medical sections. You have to understand this. Can you look where the calcium changes to potassium? You see it there. It sits. You see it becomes potassium, and it's all beta radiation in the process. Heavy dosage delivery. Minus is alkaline. Plus is acidic, magnetical. Depends on what the disease or the infection in comparison to its environment needs. You see how in one spectrum, even at calcium 37, you get argon. Argon in the vacuum condition of the body of the man is a centralization, which means delivery of the high dosage of radiation. Now, if we go back to silver, can we have the silver and put it next to each other the way we did in the medical teaching, please?
I'm working on it, yeah.
Yeah. So if you put it next to each other, you'll see silver behaves exactly the same in a beta decay plus minus. I told you I'm a nuclear physicist. I understand the whole structure of the atomic conversion from the one to another. There has never been a fusion in the world of science. Fission, yes. Division creates this condition of release. But now when you see all this beta decay with the calcium in the full spectrum, now you see why calciums on different strengths create different, and are part of different part of the immune system. Now, can you open the silver slightly bigger than we can see? If you look at silver, you see the same behavior. Huge amount of beta decay. Can you open it up, please? Can you expand?
The silver one, yeah.
Both of them, because it's important for you for it to be understood. Different strength gravitational magnetic field of conversion in beta and plus and minus in both. You see the replication is exactly the same, but the difference that on one side you go from 34 to 57, on the other side you go from 93 to 100 and something. Divide the silver by 2. 93 divided by 2. You see is double strength of calcium in conversion to potassium, double strength of the silver conversion to cadmium, and the others, which in their division themselves will go through another strength straight away, beta decay. The shorter the lifespan, the shorter the milliseconds, the stronger the power is, because it means huge amount is released in one go, in a very rapid way. When the expansion, that the half-life is too long, it's very gradual. When you have a very, very microseconds and milliseconds, these are the heavy deliverers. And that's how silver delivers and works on the human body as a what we call disinfectant or killing germs. Because not only is in a beta decay more or less the same as the calcium, but at the same time, it's a double the strength. But how do you bring silver to behave in the body of the man as a, what you call in a GANS state? Very simple. When a metal enters the body of the man, it does not behave as a matter anymore. It behaves as a GANS. This is why we've been effective in extraction of the radiation from workers at Fukushima. Now you understand, it's the same principle. This technology is so perfect that the man will take him centuries to understand the totality of it, maybe thousands of years. Now we can explain what ancient Egyptians and the others were using silver. Silver vapor. Why, if you get what we just heard from Her Excellency in regarding to nitrogen, we use nitrogen oxide or silver nitrogen or silver nitride. You see what it is, how you can use it. You have a nitrogen which itself connects to division of the cell of the amino acid. Then in contributing in connection with it, with the silver, you deliver directly. Voila. Parasites, microbes, anything you like, they're in the track. Up to now, as I explained in the teaching last week, we could understand the work of the CO2 and viruses, because viruses are energy packs. We just need to extract a little bit, they collapse. But the microbes, the bacteria, the parasites, they have an internal built structure of the amino acid. So now you have to tackle the amino acid, weaken it at the point of weakness, zap it with minus beta or plus beta, depends on the strength of the infection. Voila. 1 second there, 1 second not there. The depth of the knowledge, the operation of the whole chain has to be understood, not in part bits. Then you have a problem. So those of you who've been fighting to find a solution for malaria, you have the solution in front of you, but you have to understand how to apply it. You have to understand how to operate the balance of the energy that you can, not to destroy the other cells, but you target for the cell which the body has already marked it as more energy, a parasite. And now you have more energy, you put in a calcium, or you put in a silver oxide with connection of silver nitride, connection to the structure. It's a very simple. When you see you want to bring a building down, you don't go and try to bring the strongest leg up. You bring the weakest, where there is more weakness. It's the one which gives more. In the structure of the amino acid, the weakest link in the operation, because it always gives and takes through the centralization, release of the radiation, is nitrogen. If you work on the level of argon with silver or argon with the calcium, you'll find you have a better success. But argon is an inert gas. It releases a lot of energy because it holds back on the condition of the vacuum of the body of the man. This is exactly how the creation of the first cells on upper atmosphere are created. Read the book number 1, read the pattern. Is centralization on the upper atmosphere with the release of the heavy energy which causes the ionization of the hydrogen and creation, establishment of the amino acid, where a life which man is not aware of has been existing, because it does not need the structure of the physicality part, the matter part, the state of the body, as we have and attached to this. So the creatures which are created in the upper atmosphere have a structure, but they don't need to have physicality of the matter state of the metals of the planet. We are the bottom meters. Have you ever thought for a second how we get infection in the air and viruses? Don't we suddenly start eating bunch of poison or bunch of energies which come from the upper atmosphere down, and we all inhale it or breathe it in from the what are called remnants of whatever life is created above us? Have you ever thought of that? Which is a lot of truth to it. It is so much energy in it that we cannot absorb it. We call it a virus. Do we get part of our what we call infections from upper atmosphere creatures? The answer is yes. The way we infect the fish which are lower at the bottom of the sea when we dump our God knows what in the sea. So what you see on the screen unravels one of the biggest mysteries in the world of science. How does immune system works with amino acid, and how effective the silver is. And why is effective? It's double the strength, so of course it works. It still gives a beta ray. It still gets a beta plus or a minus. But the beta from the calcium to potassium is half the strength of the silver. You've seen this with cesium and cobalt. You take vitamin B12, which is a pure gamma ray cobalt. And then we still have cesium, which creates still gamma ray, but of the higher strength, which can pass other things. And as I tell all the time in the teaching, you all cry, we have radioactive materials, blah, blah, is going to kill us. And you go to the shop and buy B12. You're very proud, I'm taking B12. I'm getting, what do you call it? Folic acid. As I say, the first thing you get pregnant, you go to the doctor as a mother, the doctor says, congratulations, you're pregnant. But do you mind if you take so much of the folic acid? It's good for your child. Madam, I'm giving you radioactive material. But in that strength is just about right to create a division. In this strength with the calcium in the amino acid and in the beta ray with the silver is enough to destructure the parasite, destructure the germ, destructure the microbe. This is what we have to understand. Horses for courses. How and where? How come the body uses gamma ray to divide cells and keep healthy, but uses beta rays for killing or destruction or division of another life? What about what we call alpha rays? Our body uses it intensively. For the cross multiplication in the physical structure of the body, you need alpha rays. But what is alpha ray? It's a helium, it's a balancing. It allows the two cells to merge without any damage. Division of the cell comes through it. Because the two stay balanced, one doesn't destroy the other. That's the beauty of helium in a vacuum conditioned body of the man. So, you see, they frighten you, the guy is a terrorist because he uses potassium and does that. That's how we became a terrorist organization, with the stupidity of the police in Belgium, with the ignorance of the knowledge of the top scientists who are doing nothing but killing scientists. The policeman at the head of the European agency sits as a director, where it's an ignorant knowledge of the creation. Gamma ray is used to create life. Beta ray is the enough energy to not keep hold of one, but not allow the one which is over, parasite, is not fitting into it, because it looks at the totality. You give them alpha radiation in a combination in the structure of the body of the man to create a balance. If you look at many gamma rays, many cobalt sources, in their division, they work two ways. They drop immediately to alpha, which means in division they secure the life, or in the other part of the body, like the creation of the sperm, immediately come to beta, which means destruction of what they already created when it's not needed. This we see in the operation of the sperm. When a man ejaculates, in the process of life, it's given to create life. But what stays in the channel between the testicles and what comes out, if it stays in there, creates infection. The radiation from the gamma ray of the division ready for the cell to penetrate the egg now behaves as a beta and kills the sperm inside the tunnel. That does not create infection. The body has chosen a specific way to interact with itself and guarantee using different strength radiation to guarantee life, to preserve life, to divide, or to get rid of. Now, with what's on the screen, we complete another mystery in the world of science. This is what we call, you have to understand the totality. Translate this knowledge into the space travel. Do you want to join another? Do you want to enter and stay in balance? Do you need to create the fields which are in dividing, in balance, or they can destroy another part or open another part which is not needed? The world of science is beautiful if you understand all of it. We see the operation. We see how in body of the man, even the cells are reused to extract from what is needed from them, that you don't take it again. We see, we eat, we are given, we consume B12, and as I said, in part section of your intestine, up to a certain point, you give radiation, feel the strength as a beta for guarantee of the division. And then immediately, few micron below, you collect what is not at the strength, but it can be used again. So we see the body has an operation of two, releasing gamma and collecting it when it's needed. Understand the process, how it's done. It's very much like the reactors Armen showed us. One is working in one speed internally, the other one is externally. One takes from the center of the other one, what gives to the outside the other one. In the process of the plasma technology, you have to look at the totality of the environment and to what extent you want to look into this environment. Do you want to keep it in the structure of an atom in respect to a molecule? Do you want to keep it in the structure of the man onto Earth? Do you want to look at the structure of the Earth in the plasma of the, what we call solar cell, or the interaction of a solar cell in a respect to a galaxy? So you see, it's very easy if you understand and find comparisons. You can go with the calcium with speed of light. You can go with silver with the speed, double the speed of the light, because you deliver faster, much bigger packages. The science of plasma technology completes what is missing and has been missing in the knowledge of the man. But we have to look at it in totality. We have to understand it in how it is, not how we've been told, and we may choose to confirm it is to confirm our own lack of understanding, or what we didn't have to understand. We have two worlds living next to each other, matter world and a GANS world. The body of the man is a GANS world, lives with the matter environment of the planet. We have an aura. We have dynamic structure. We absorb, we give, we compromise, we negotiate, but it's become so automatic that we are not aware of it. We leave it to the brain to do it. Otherwise you go, oh, there's a field here on the left-hand side. Oh, this is like a field of an orange. Can I take it? Do I need vitamin C? Maybe on the skin, but maybe a little bit in the liver. Oh, would you like to go just to the skin, please, not to the liver? We left this, is done. This is the reality which your body sees the source. It creates an energy field weak compared to that. It absorbs from the source. Make yourself a very interesting experiment. This is what I told, we talk about a lot with Caroline. Go back and test something very, very interesting. You all sleep on mattresses, most expensive mattresses with the spring, and you try to create the comfort of life, that you sleep sweet, but everything is synthetic. Get yourself a leather suit and go and lie on the leather. You'll find out when you go to sleep, the sleep is so sweet, so deep. Why? The skin of the animal you sleep on is in a GANS state. It's the same the patch you made for yourself. You absorb energy, it gives and takes. It brings comfort to the body of the man. Why don't we make mattresses out of the leather? Then you find out you sleep perfect every time you get in it, because you live with a live entity. Then you understand how the man used to be born with a skin. For millions of years, we chose that clothes. The more synthetic we make material, the further we come from true existence. Now it's on the screen. Try to extend the knowledge. Go and look into the structure. These documents will be added into the Wikipedia for microbes and germs, and you can read it. As a nuclear physicist, I can go in and explain. For a common man, the knowledge becomes permanent. We are here as messengers of God to guide man in the right way, but it's for the man to understand the path. If you understood this, you're a physician in a space, you don't need to look at the amino acid. You don't need to look at aluminum or gold or silver. You know how to save a life of another entity. Very simply, by understanding this. Any questions?
Yes, Dr. Keshe, can I ask you another question?
We can't hear you, it's broken down. You're copying like a... It's chopped voice, we can't hear.
Your bandwidth is bad there.
Can I ask another question?
Okay.
Would
Can
you
you hear me
like
now?
to write down your question, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes?
Okay. I have a friend that has a tumor on his neck, and
Yeah.
if he was to get some of the juice out of it and then put it in some
First of all, who said the world? Hold on, I'm not going to answer you this.
okay.
But I'm going to tell
All
you
right.
something. Who tells you there is a juice inside it?
Well, I'm assuming that if
Okay, so we
there's a
don't work
lump
on
that there's
assumption. Leave
okay.
that to the physicians, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other question?
Okay. We do have Gur in the live stream. He was wondering about the. Let me get back to his question here. Can we place the matter capacitors that we saw earlier in the liquid plasmatic water? Will there be any shortages, and would they behave as a plasma capacitor then?
Yeah, as long as you insulate them, they don't get mixed in it. When we talk about that, it's not just dropping it in them. You create environment, they stay dry, but they operate.
Yeah, he kind of worked it through in the live stream and came to that conclusion with some help from Bob, who mentions like put them in a closed box, or then you have your plasmatic environment and no problem with the water. Okay.
What time are we in now?
We're at 3 hours and 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Maybe we could have a look at Sue's
Well,
thing.
before we leave this subject, those of you who are of the medical background, try to analyze and understand what we just explained. It's your job to explain to those who don't understand. Those of you who have problem with governments in the matter of the health, like the Minister of Health in Norway, direct them directly to me through Webmaster. We handle the governments because we have enough knowledge and we have enough technologies that we can put them to become the ambassadors of the technology. There is a misrepresentation which makes a very good press, and politicians usually ride on the back wagon of the press. Do not get entangled with government. We have technologies, we have sciences that the governments have to get it evaluated by themselves. Not is the lack of our work, is the lack of their knowledge. And then ask them to publish what they found out. They refuse to do because pharmaceuticals won't allow it to show you are so correct. In a way, they are fighting their position for getting more commission out of the pharmaceuticals. And I welcome the Minister of Health of Norway to come on the table with us, and let's look at the application of the Keshe. We don't claim we cure any cancer. We create a condition that the body processes itself. The misrepresentation is very easy for those who don't understand the technology. To misspeak is very easy. But it's become a very good position for us to come into public. But it's not the negative, because a lot of Norwegians are looking at the Keshe Foundation and seeing all the testimonials and saying, what a, excuse my French, what a BS. The minister has not understood the totality. She just jumps on, right? The same as the alternative medicine. Let them come in. We give you all the tools. It's for you to prove we are wrong. It's not for us to prove, because already people are using it. Let the government handle to be handled by the knowledge of the people who understand, not riding on the back of the weakness of those who don't understand. Understand something very simple. The structure of the body of the man has to be understood by the scientists who can explain it to the ignorant. And most of the highly positioned politically are just the paper readers. Remember one thing? We used to know a guy, very famous. He actually was elected, but was never given the seat as the President of the United States by the order of the judge, Mr. Al Gore. You remember, we don't hear about him anymore. He became the ambassador for greenhouse effect and global warming, because now that he was elected as a president and another president cheated him and the court accepted he was cheated, it was too late because the other guy was already president. Mr. Al Gore gave a talk in a huge global conference, global warming conference. And what did he say? These people just read papers, have no intelligence of the science, because today they speak about the earth, tomorrow they have to speak about the dog, and the day after about the bridge. The gentleman in an international conference says the global warming is getting so bad that is endangering the penguins. It's getting so bad, the ice is melting so badly that the bears are eating the penguins because there is not enough room on them. Somebody very knowledgeable in a conference stood up and said, excuse me, Mr. Agor, the bears live in the North Poles and the penguin in the South Pole. How do they come together to eat each other? You're talking a lot of rubbish. And that was the end of Mr. Agor as ambassador of the global warming. So don't get worried by the politicians. The brain is what is written, put in front of them because it sells newspaper for them and it creates position. Let us deal with the governments. We respect them, but we teach them, and hopefully, like the Italian government, they start working with it. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, this is from Sue from Ohio, USA, and she says, Mr. Keshe, I do not have a working computer, so I can't watch the workshops live or ask questions. Recently, I made my version of a plasma pen or rod, an 81-turn coil with a thick braided pin and a few baby crystals in the bottom. I found that putting 3 of them in a triangle formation created a wonderful healing field to work with. While watching the workshops, a version of a receiver/generator came to me using the same rods. I first felt a need to build 1 of these and later felt I needed to build 2. It is an 81-turn gravitational coil inside a magnetical tube filled with GANs. Each coil is connected to the next tube. All tubes are connected to a center tube with a braided wire infinity loop. The first is a clockwise field with composite GANs plus zinc oxide, lead, and magnesium in the middle. After putting the first one together, I used dowsing rods to test the field created. My rods crossed throughout my entire house and continued outside until I was over 130 feet away. I then connected a second unit with the field going counterclockwise. The field on the first unit diminished, I believe, because the second, weaker unit was drawing the field, but standing in between the 2 units a few feet apart was an interesting experience, and one I would like to explore further as a health unit. I disconnected the second unit and my 130-foot field returned. I am trying to draw a plasma from this field that I can use for power. I'm not sure if I need to increase the frequency of this field to draw plasma or the best way to draw it. Magrav? Just capacitors? Could you please advise? Thank you for all you do. Sue N., Ohio. And there's another picture here of the tube, I think it is there.
You see, it depends where you want to take or what you want to give. You explained, you understand fully what you are doing by what you have written. Just analyze what you've written in a magnetic gravitational field, and then you will understand very simple that you have created a very strong magnetical on one side, you have created a very strong gravitational on one side. So the gravitational becomes what you call alkaline, which means absorbs, and so there is no field transfer or very little, because whatever is done through higher order fields are absorbed by the weakest one, which in a way the weakest is a weak on magnetical, but very strong on gravitational. This is what I keep on calling about a banana. When you peel the banana, is a magnetical, but the real strength is in the main banana inside, which is gravitational. A lot of fruits work this way. That's how they absorb energy from outside and they hold it. Look at a lot of fruits which are high level fruits. Dates, banana, coconut. Why they are so strong? Look at their shape. look at their position, look at their division in a smaller. They are at a point which they have a very weak structure outside with a very strong field inside, and that creates the what we call the heavy potential, high energy fruit. So in a way, one is weak because this gravitational is very strong. Magnetically it's filled because you can't detect it. But if you could measure the gravitational field strength, which is much higher order in the same region, you will see how strong the field is going out in one direction to the other. It's fantastic. This I saw this with Richard yesterday. He sat next to me. He's in Ghana setting up the manufacturing, the factories and teaching the students. He came up with very similar to what you show. In putting two coils, one back to back into each other in a circle. So this can make a Magrav unit. I said this makes cylindrical unit, exactly what you have on there. It's very interesting. There's nothing wrong. It's a beautiful system you made, and it follows the principle of the flow of the four, what do you call, atomic molecular structure of the plasma. It's beautiful to see this when it's made so beautifully. And it works. Each one works individually, has its own gravitational, has its own magnetical. And then what is put in on the strength, it creates a rotation. And a slight height, it means they have to deviate. It's not in balance, so you create a circulation. This should spread quite long, depends on which side of which pen you stand. Thank you very much for sharing knowledge.
And the picture in the background's a nice addition as well. It helps to train the units, maybe. They have something to look at.
It's amazing how the Magrav units are spreading around the world.
Each one is totally unique. I haven't seen two Magravs that are identical. It seems hard to make two of the same, and yet everybody understands it similarly, but in their own way.
Yeah.
I know we want to wrap things up pretty soon here.
Yeah,
we have a couple more maybe quick questions. Oyvind asks, he's still trying to understand, are we adding silver nitrate physically in the water of the CO2 production container combined with the iron nails so we can reach through the hemoglobin? Did you get that question? Is that a...
Yeah,
Shall I give it to you again?
I'm trying to not to answer it because that can lead to some other things. Bring this up next week and then I'll answer you in depth because it can cause misunderstanding.
Right, okay, that's fair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us today. I hope as we learn from you, people like Jon and Armen and the others that bring knowledge to share with us. Understand that we are still on the same path of using the technology for peace. And in the coming days and weeks, you will understand more how much we advance in this knowledge and this path. We use the technology as was, and maybe in a lot of ways misunderstood. Energy in exchange for peace is the energy of the man, which will exchange because of it to peace activities. And we'll achieve it. We are very much on course. We'll deliver and understand what we explained last week. Keshe Foundation Ghana, agriculture, we start enrolling people for next year for masters and PhDs, and other universities will follow the same.
Mr. Keshe, one last tough question for you before you leave.
Everything is tough.
Does Mr. Keshe get his knowledge from God, like the prophets got theirs?
I am the light.
Okay, thank you. I think that's an adequate answer. More than adequate answer.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
See you next week. Hopefully we learn more from each other.
We always do, it seems, in this teaching. Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe, and that's the end of the 150th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for December 15th, 2016. And as always, thank you everybody for attending, and see you next week. And we'll end the live stream now.
Okay. I'm going to leave the broadcast for a bit.
Sure, thank you for the reminder.